Welcome, one and all, to the 2025 St. Paul String Quartet Competition pre-final round interviews. I am Ray Shows, first violinist of the Artaria String Quartet and founder and director of America's premier chamber music competition exclusively for string quartets. This year marks a significant milestone as we celebrate our 20th anniversary of competition here in Minnesota. For this interview, I've selected a series of icebreaker questions that will offer the audience an opportunity to learn more about these super talented musicians beyond their performances. As you can imagine, we are delighted to share their responses with you. So, it is my great honor to introduce the TRELLIS String Quartet. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
You know, as we go around the room, would you please tell the audience your names, the instrument you play, and where you are from originally? Let's start with Zach.
Sure. I'm Zach. I play viola, and I'm originally from Vancouver, Canada.
I'm Dallas. I play violin, and I'm originally from Hopewell, New Jersey.
I'm Priscilla. I play cello, and I'm originally from Southern California.
I'm Leo. I also play the violin, and I'm originally from Southern California as well.
Please tell our audiences, where is your quartet currently in residence, and who are your chamber music coaches?
So we're currently in residence at the University of Delaware as part of their master's degree quartet residence in graduate quartet in residence. And we currently study with the Calidor String Quartet.
When did the four of you get together again? Please tell the audiences how long you've been together and you're still talking to each other.
We're brought together as a quartet in August of 2023. So we've been together for about a year and a half now. And we hadn't played together as a quartet before then. We were sort of assembled by the Calidors for this residency, and then we took it from there.
You know, audiences are always curious about quartet names. Would you please describe to this year's audience how you chose your name?
So when we started trying to find a name, it was kind of one of our earliest bonding activities, I guess, because when we first came together, we were getting to know each other at the same time as we were starting to rehearse and starting to form our quartet identity as well. So thinking about names was a really good way to get to know each other. And we actually came up with a list of, I think, around 50 names at first. And I can let Zach talk a little more about this because he knows more about the way that this worked, but we used the same kind of brackets that the MLB uses to narrow down names from this original list of like 50.
Oh, we use a point system that when they're voting on like Cy Young awards, when the Baseball Writers Association are voting on these end of season awards, different players get points for their ranking on, you know, if they get like first place or second place or third place on a ballot, and then the total points is what counts for the winner. So we went through a few rounds of that.
Yeah. Ranking the different options and then averaging it out and then ranking more options and then like the winners and ranking them, and then we threw in some wild card ones at the end, and then it ended up being one of those. Ended up being our name.
So this year, how did you select your competition repertoire? Priscilla, why don't you tell us how that happened?
Yeah, so one of our pieces is, or the piece we'll be starting off with is the Stolhoff. He's a Czech composer, and we'll be playing his 5 pieces for a string quartet. And I think one of the reasons why we played it was Dallas had heard it before at a previous school.
In my undergrad, one of the people in my studio really liked the piece, and he kind of introduced everyone to it. And then over the rest of my time there, several groups played it, and I don't know, every time I played it, I was just like, I need to play that someday. So I think it was one of the first pieces that I told them about. It was like on our wish list. And
yeah, we like it because it's similar to other 5 pieces, 5 short movements for string quartets that composers have created. They're very bite-sized, and it's easy to kind of create a character for each movement and work on how we kind of encapsulate movements in that way. And I think as a quartet, we've found that we do play this period of music a bit stronger. I think we have more conviction of interpretation with pieces of Shoal House period. And we'll also be performing Greek string quartet. And I think our main reason for choosing the Greek was we actually heard a performance of the Aben Quartet in New York City last year. We drove up there for the concert, and it was so inspiring. They played the Greek with their new cellist, and
it actually would have been right before we came to St. Paul last year. Yeah, right around.
Yeah, and then I just remember we were listening to the rep that they would play on the car ride to the concert, as well as like the Greek on the car ride back. So that was really fun, and it just came up as a contender for our next quartet after St. Paul. So yeah.
You know, the senior division compulsory round this year features a really fantastic work. When I'm looking for new pieces of music, I first started Banff International and some of the other ones, and I see what the new groups today, the top groups are playing. And this is one of the pieces that I came to that I had not heard before. It's been around for a while, but I just hadn't heard it play, of course, so well at these international competitions. So anyway, Shoni Gran's string quartet number 3, Glitter, Doom, Shards, and Memory. Man, that is a lot to pack in there. How's this piece coming along for you guys?
Yeah, I think we've been taking the time so far just to get familiar with it and really try to like listen to it a lot and understand what it's going for and sort of the style of it, and try to figure out what performances we really like of it. And I mean, we're really excited to continue, you know, putting it together and bringing it to the competition. It's really different from last year's compulsory piece, which I think is really it's really cool for us as well, that it's a totally different I think energy and kind of like goal that we're sort of attempting to bring to the stage.
To better understand your quartet, would you please share with the audience your group's rehearsal style?
Well, we've actually experimented with a couple new styles since last year. Last year, I remember we told you about the vibe check that we did at the beginning of each rehearsal. That's something that we still occasionally do, but actually not as much anymore, because I think as we've gotten to know each other better and better, we've learned how to read each other better. So we don't need to do the vibe check as often, we've found, in order to like know what the mood is going in and to be able to adapt to each other. But that was I think that was a really good thing for us, especially in the beginning, to have. Lately, we found that what's been working the best. So when we were working with the Verona Quartet over the summer, they told us about how they had created a schedule, like a long-term schedule with detailed like which parts of each piece to do in which rehearsals for many days in a row. And we've been experimenting with doing that. We've found that we really like that. And we've also discovered, I think the most recent and also our most recent favorite rehearsal technique really has been that each of us will take turns planning and leading a rehearsal, one by one. So we just kind of rotate. We go around in a circle, and one person creates a schedule and also leads the rehearsal. Like that person will pick what scale we're going to do and what arpeggio we're going to do as a group, and then will kind of lead us through when to stop and start each part that we're working on, and will be probably the first to give comments, the first to lay out, here's what we want to focus on in this bit, here's what we want to focus on in this bit, we need to tune this part, we need to like work on like unification of ideas in this part. And it's not that other people don't also give their input, but the person who's leading will be like the first one to lay out areas of focus and to give comments, and then everyone else will follow. And yeah, we've been really liking that lately, I think.
So, TRELLIS Quartet, what do the four of you think about the direction of chamber music in this country today?
That's a big one.
Wow.
I think it's an interesting time right now because it feels like there are more groups than ever competing and being formed, but at the same time, there also feels to be a lot of young people that are focusing more on looking for orchestral jobs or positions in maybe more considered to be more stable opportunities. So I think it's kind of we see both sides, I guess, depending on who you ask and the environment that you're in. But it kind of creates an interesting sort of like push and pull between both sides.
I mean, yeah, I think I have gotten a very similar impression. Just I feel like there are many people in our generation who are forming chamber groups and who really love it. And so I feel like every year I see more and more and more, and everyone has, like, there are more and more distinct styles just emerging at the same time. And I don't know whether it's just a perspective thing too, whether it's always been like this too, and we just have like a firsthand like view of it now, and we're seeing it from the perspective of people who are also in it, which is not a perspective that we've seen past chamber music evolutions from before. But yeah, I guess it's a pretty similar view.
I think it's exciting to see that different schools, more schools are adopting kind of this graduate residency sort of format. Yeah, definitely more than before. I find it's more common, not just for string quartet, but like here at UD, we also have like a graduate wind quintet in residence and a percussion ensemble and a brass ensemble. And so it's great that universities are able to fund that, and also donors are really interested in kind of fostering chamber music in schools. So we've definitely been able to take that opportunity here, and we're super grateful. And it seems like chamber music is still continuing and thriving, and is supported and welcomed by audiences. And so I'm very grateful to see that.
Yeah, and to finally add to that, yeah, it's really cool to see how we use like technology and social media to connect. During our time, or during our short coaching with the Miros, and a Zoom meeting with the second violinist of the Miro, Will. Yeah, he gave us some really cool, like really helpful advice about how to really throw ourselves out there and use the things that we have today to make a unique thumbprint for ourselves. And I think, yeah, seeing other groups like recent prize winners like the Police's Quartet and other younger groups